Everything that we do is designed to resonate with a human being. Like, one of the things that landed for me a long time ago is you're never marketing to a crowd. You're never speaking to a crowd. It doesn't matter how many people are in front of you. Like now, there's 3 people in front of me. I have to think about 2 eyes and 2 ears with what I'm saying. And when I communicate that way, it lands for everyone. But if I go, hey, you guys, and just speak in this generality and speak to a group, everyone's like, oh, I don't have to pay attention. People want connection. They crave it. When you give it to them, it's pretty powerful. And that's what we come down to this. This was the beginning part. When we do those interviews, when we can articulate a person's problem, a singular person's problem, better than they can using the language that they use, they automatically attribute you to having the solution, regardless of whether you do. It's always the individual, right? When you talk to one, you can actually talk to many because everyone in that group is engaged. So when we think about that, after we understand them, we know how they want to buy our products, right? How they do buy our products, how they want to buy our products or services, and what that looks like as a journey. And then we can just accompany them, calibrate our content so that we're just drifting like a paper plane, drifting down to that inevitable buy, and then catching the current and lifting up to loop around into their raving fan. So smooth, the right thing at the right time. Because we want everything that we produce to captivate our audience, right? We want them like hanging on our every word, right? Itching to take that next action. I like these people in the movie, right? It's really taking them through what they need to know, just the right thing to keep them munching. And the reality is that when you do this beautifully, when you align it to their needs so perfectly, and you add more value in the purpose and impact, you create this better experience that people are willing to pay more for. Part of the reason why we look at who is your effortless audience, who is your priority audience, and those are the ones that pay what you want happily. They align with everything that you speak about. They get you, they love you, and they are a pleasure to do business with. Right? Those 3 things separate that group, the one that you will pay more, than those that are going to haggle for I just want cheaper. Right? Can you give it to me cheaper? Oh, now can you give me extended payment terms? You don't want those people. It's people that are commodity battling. That's not who you want. And that's part of understanding that journey, when you can, at the top, shape how they think and feel about the product. Like if you've got a new product, or the way you present your service, if it's unique, shape that up there, then they're not going to go and price match you, right? It's not going to become purely a commodity thing. And the reality is there are plenty of paths to the top of the mountain. And often, in some businesses, some situations, it's not the person that starts the journey that finishes the journey. When you know their pain, you know how they're thinking about it, the level of awareness they are, you can meet them there, give them what they need to go deeper and deeper and deeper, give them that easy opportunity to buy, then show them how awesome your culture is, your impact is. Embrace them in that, in the celebration. Make them a raving fan, right? So if we think about this, then we've got to turn it into a script. We've got to turn it into content. We've got to turn this, we should have these mapped, turn these into a content strategy, right? Because your strategy is the right message at the right moment to move that person along that journey. Right? That's the content strategy. It doesn't matter where it is, what it is, it's calibrating to the journey. And obviously you've got your core audience, your priority audience, but you're going to have different content strategies for different buyers, whether it's the strategy for a mum to get her toddler into a baby vest, or if it's a strategy to get a tradie into a discovery session, right? And then into a subscription, right? For accounting. The same thing, knowing what it is, you develop a strategy. What is a content strategy? Well, it's a plan for all of your content. Your content should have a clear result, each piece, right? Including social media. Unless you just have to pump volume out. But even then, there should be some kind of plan, right? Like, what's the plan? Is it engagement? Is it a follow? Is it a share? Whatever, right? It is the way that you help your priority audience recognize that you are the ultimate solution provider for their problem. It is a mix of mediums, right? But it is the mix that matches your customer. Well, there's no point being on TikTok if no one on TikTok actually is your priority audience. It's how you provide value up front, compelling engagement, and reciprocation, because you want them to do something. You want them to engage and reciprocate. Now, there's that, got it on the shelf somewhere there, Bob Cialdini's Persuasion or Influence. I think it's called Influence. And in there, one of the rules of humanity is that if I buy you a coffee, what do you want to do next time we're out? The natural impulse is I'm buying, right? Because we want to reciprocate. So when we provide value in our content, subconsciously the person that receives the value wants to return value, whether that's dollars or whatever, or share, right? So giving value creates that human need to respond. So there you can see the priority for that is April, May, June, because of the end of financial year, right? Cameron, whether there's some kind of program you can offer in order to show people how they can leverage that donation period, that window, right, to get maximum impact from their donations. I don't know if there is or not, but like that awareness is key. So if you look at that and go, right, well, we have to drive interest to those things at that time of the year for this brand. And outside of this is like, all right, we've got to do storytelling, right? So there's like pre-event, right, and post-event, because there's this big fundraiser that they work to, an annual fundraiser, right? So tell the story of it and then after, right? So this is for them. So yours, like the idea here is think about this, get a whiteboard and go, all right, what are our key dates? We are seasonal. That means like if we're going to get, like if we want to sell 90% of our stock or 80% of our stock by this cutoff date, what do we need to do? Like, what does our content strategy look like based off the buyer journey? How many conversations over what time frame do we need to have with that buyer before they sign, right? Working backwards, then how much exposure do we need to have in the market ahead of that first call, right? So you're like, okay, like this, if it's 2 months, right? October, November, 2 months in order to book a thing in February that we then work in February to sign them. Like, what is that for you? Cameron, what's that for you as well? Like how, like knowing how long it takes, and part of this is going to, with new businesses, new products, new services, there's a bit of it as theoretical, right? Because it's like, yeah, like especially if they came in different ways through relationships, referrals, that's cool. But also those referrals need to be structured as well. Like how do we activate our referral network in the right time? Because that's a big part of this as well, is the private donor part. That's two months of like referral networking, right? So you can see this is seasonal. So yours are very likely going to be seasonal. Evergreen is a little different. Evergreen is where it is people just buy any time of the year, given the right opportunity. It's like Marque, right? So he just needs a rebrand or a refresh. There's not really any particular thing, right? He's in the program, so our program runs frequently. So if we look at an evergreen calendar, it could be just a revolving theme, right? So for us, it's impact, it's storytelling, it's culture, right? And that rotates. So with that, that's an easier way, because you can set a 90-day content strategy, do all the videos, all the content, all the stories, everything for 90 days, and then just like repost it all, because people are, to some degree, like goldfish when it comes to content. 90 days is a long enough time for you to repurpose content, or so I'm told. Some people have got better memories than others, but others people will engage and go, oh, that's interesting. And next time it comes around, oh, that's interesting, right? Smart repurposing is the key here. You don't want to have to create like, hundreds of pieces of content. You don't need to like sit there and map out a massive go-to-market strategy. And the main takeaways is like, your content now that you like, especially at this stage for both of you, while both businesses, is that while you haven't got your website aligned to this yet, it is still, you can plant seeds. So it's like thinking about it from the perspective of, okay, what can I put out now that makes sense for the journey for this audience? Whether it is like, so you're creating content, right? Take people on the journey with you, right? Take people on the journey with you. Like, you don't have to be polished and perfect with things. It's like we're doing this thing,